The portrait arrived on a Tuesday, wrapped in burlap that smelled of wet soil and something older than soil. Quinn Ashford hadn't purchased it. It simply appeared on her doorstep with a card that read, in handwriting too precise to be human, "For the house on Duskmore Lane. You are the house on Duskmore Lane." She should have left it outside. Everyone who later heard the story said exactly that. But the painting, once unwrapped, showed a woman so breathtaking that setting her back in the rain felt like a crime. The subject stood in a garden no longer in season, wearing a dress the color of deep water, her expression caught somewhere between recognition and warning. Quinn hung her above the fireplace and told herself the unease was only the October chill. Iris Holloway came to see it the following weekend. Iris was Quinn's oldest friend, a woman who noticed things professionally. She restored paintings for the University Museum, read canvases the way doctors read scans. She stood before the portrait for 11 minutes without speaking. Quinn counted. "The varnish is wrong," Iris finally said. "It's old, 17th century at the earliest, but the brushwork underneath is—" "Quinn, the underlayer looks like it was painted last week. The pigment hasn't oxidized, it's still breathing." "Paintings don't breathe. This one does." That night, Quinn dreamed of the garden in the portrait. The woman in the deep-water dress stood with her back turned, and when Quinn called to her, the woman said without turning around, "You've already given me 3 days. I'll need the rest in time." She woke with her hands trembling and her hair, dark brown at 34 years old, threaded through with white she hadn't noticed before. The changes were slow enough that Quinn almost explained them away. The silver at her temples, the new lines around her eyes that her mirror suggested were deeper than last month, than last week. The way her knees ached climbing stairs they had never troubled before. She was tired, she was stressed, she was simply, ordinarily aging. It was Iris who found the others. Dig into the provenance of any cursed object long enough, and you find a paper trail that the object itself seems to have tried to erase. Iris found 4 previous owners across 2 centuries, a shipping merchant in 1887 who aged 40 years in 18 months, a collector in 1923 whose estate photographs show him entering his 30s, then emerging from them ancient, a woman in 1971 whose family swore she had been young and came out of that house old as a question nobody wanted to answer, and a gallery owner in 2003 who had donated the portrait to an estate sale when his doctors told him his organs were those of a 90-year-old man. He was 51. The subject in the portrait never aged. In every photograph across 2 centuries, the woman in the deep-water dress stood in her impossible off-season garden, expression caught in that same space between recognition and warning, looking not a single day older than the moment she was painted. While her owners bent and whitened and folded inward, she remained precisely, immovably herself. Quinn understood it then, the horror of it arriving whole and cold all at once. The portrait wasn't haunted, it wasn't a ghost story, it was a transaction. The woman in the painting had found a way to stay, and the price was extracted from whoever hung her on their wall, not dramatically, not all at once,